Okay. Good afternoon, all. Hope it is audible for you. One of you can respond. Is it audible for you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So, in continuation to the last problem, go through the example 3.7. Read this problem. A hexagonal cell with a 4-cell system. 4-cell system in the sense it is having 4 cells in one cluster, has a radius of 1.387 kilometer. So the cell's radius is 1.387 kilometer, and you're having the total of 60 channels used in the entire system. The total number of channels is 60. Kindly take your notes, write the main points, the given items, the given parameters. Capital N is equal to 4. It is 4-channel system. So number of cells in one cluster is equal to 4. Radius capital R equal to 1.387 kilometer. Then total number of channels is 60. The load per user is 0.029 Erlangs. What is that? Is it AU or A? Load per user is AU or A? I need your response. Load per user is
AU.
AU. So AU equal to 0.029 Erlangs. Lambda. What do you mean by lambda? Lambda is arrival rate. So 1 call per hour. So from one user, they will be initiating only 1 call per hour. That is what is called lambda. And we are going to deal with the Erlang C system. It is given explicitly in the question. We are going to deal with the Erlang C system and not B system. And the probability of docking is 5%. So you need to choose the GOS as 0.05. So grade of service is 5%, 0.05. So the given parameters are, one is capital N, that is the cluster size, it is 4. Then channels number is 60, radius is 1.387 kilometers. AU is, that is AU is traffic intensity per user, it is 0.029 Erlangs. Arrival rate is 1, and GOS is 5%. And what you need to calculate is how many users per square kilometer will the system support. So you need to calculate capital U. Maximum how many number of users can be supported by this particular system. Okay. Secondly, what you need to do is, what is the probability that a delayed call will have to wait for more than 10 seconds? Means already the call is being delayed. Why the call has been delayed? Because all the available channels currently are in use. Okay, they are busy in service. So a new incoming call will experience a delay. So they have to wait in the queue. So what is the chance of that particular delay call to wait in the queue for more than 10 seconds? That is the second question. Third question, what is the probability that a call will be delayed for more than 10 seconds? So second question is, what is the probability that a delayed call will have to wait for more than 10 seconds? Third question is, the probability that a call will be delayed for more than 10 seconds. Got the difference? I repeat, in the second question, you are going to find the probability that already a delayed call have to wait for more than 10 seconds in the queue. And in question number 3, we are going to find the probability of delaying a call for more than 10 seconds. Means you are going to consider the overall delay. Understood? In second option, we are going to just calculate probability of a delayed call to wait more than 10 seconds. But in the third question, we are going to find the probability that a call will be delayed for more than 10 seconds. So it is different actually. Now, first what we have to do is, we need to find the number of channels per cell. Only then we can find the users, number of users, isn't it? How we are going to find this is by finding the coverage area. Okay, the equation for finding the coverage area of a hexagonal cell is given by 2.598 into radius square. 2.598 into radius square. That you need to understand that particular equation. You need to by heart that equation. That is, if radius is given, means how we are going to find the coverage area of a hexagonal cell. That is by using geometry only. So kindly note that particular equation. So it is applicable to all the hexagonal cells. The equation for finding the area of a cell is given by 2.598 into radius square. Substitute the radius, we'll find the answer in square kilometers. That is approximately you will have 5 square kilometers as a coverage area of a one particular cell. Now, you are having the total number of clusters as 4 and total number of channels as 60. So for one particular cell, you will have 60 by 4, that is 15 channels. Totally there are 60 channels and there are 4 cells in one cluster. So for one cell, you will have equidistributable channel, that is 60 divided by 4, which is 15 channels allocated to one cell. So as of now, you have the number of channels with you for a particular cell, that is 15, and the probability of blocking is 5%, that is GOS is 5%, which is equal to 0.05. Clear? So with the help of these two parameters, by using Erlang C chart, we are going to check the table. We'll be checking the table or the chart, whatever is given in your examination. Based upon the chart or table, you will find the value of A. What is A? Overall traffic intensity, that's 9 Erlangs. So kindly please note this 9 Erlangs, we have obtained it from your Erlang C chart. So please ensure that you are making use of the proper chart. You will be providing with two tables, Erlang B table and Erlang C table. Depending upon the question, you must access the desirable table, and from that you are going to find the traffic intensity. So if you are checking the wrong table, means your data will be wrong. Okay. So kindly match that table with the two input data. The two input data are, one is a grade of service 5%, 5% is 0.05, number of channel is 15. So with respect to these two data, you will get the traffic intensity as 9 Erlangs. Now from this, we are going to find the number of users. You know the equation for finding A, AU and U. A is the overall traffic intensity. AU is the traffic intensity per user. So if you multiply the traffic intensity of one user into the total users, you will get the overall traffic intensity. Yeah. So the equation for A is equal to U into AU, or from that you can find U as A divided by AU. So what is the equation for U? U is the number of users, which is equal to total traffic intensity. Total traffic intensity is A divided by traffic per user is AU. So divide A divided by AU, you will get the answer as 310 users in the entire coverage area. What is the coverage area of one cell? It is 5 square kilometer, that you already find out. But in the question, they have asked to find the number of users that can be accommodated in 1 kilometer. I mean 1 square kilometer. Okay, not the entire kilometer. You have one cell's area as 5 square kilometer. For that entire 5 square kilometer, you are having the number of users as 310, whatever you have found just now. But here you are asked to find the number of users that can be accommodated per square kilometer. So what you need to do is, you need to divide this 310 divided by the coverage area of one cell, which will be equal to 620 users per square kilometer. Did you got that? Any doubts with respect to the first part of the question? So in order to find the number of users, what you have done is, by using the Erlang C chart, you have identified the value of A just by mapping the two input data. What are the two input data that you have? One is a grade of service, that is 0.05, and another one is number of channels. Please don't take the overall number of channels. You are taking only the channels per cell. So you have to divide the total channels by 4, because 4 is the cluster size that you have. Okay, so total channel is 60, so 60 by 4 is 15. So according to 15 channels and 0.04 as a grade of service, you will calculate the traffic intensity as 9 Erlangs. Now this 9 divided by the value of AU. What is AU? AU is the traffic intensity from one user, that is 0.029, I think, which is that is being given in the question, isn't it? Yeah, the load per user AU. So when you divide that, you will get the number of users in the entire cell. But that entire cell is of 5 square kilometer area. You are going to find only the users for 1 kilometer, 1 square kilometer. So per square kilometer, you need to accommodate only 310 divided by 5, that is 62 users. Now coming to the next question, what is the probability that a delayed call will have to wait for more than 10 seconds? Already the call has been delayed, and that a delayed call has to wait for more than 10 seconds. That is nothing but the conditional probability. Okay. Already the call is being delayed, and the delayed call will have to wait for more than 10 seconds. Means we are going to find the probability of delay greater than t given delay. Okay, what does it means? Probability of delay greater than t given delay means already the call has been delayed, and once that it is delayed or the delayed call has to wait for more than t seconds in the queue. So yesterday from Erlang C systems model, we have already we have already gone through this particular equation. So directly you are going to substitute. But the thing is that you only have the values of C and A with you. Already you got the value from A. Already you got the value of A from the Erlang C chart. And the value of C is also known to you because you have found 60 divided by 4 is 50. So the only unknown parameter is H. What do you mean by H? H is the holding time. And the equation for holding time is AU by lambda. That also we have studied yesterday, isn't it? The traffic intensity per user AU is equal to lambda into H. So when you rearrange that, you will get the holding time as AU by lambda. Holding time is nothing but the average time required for a call. Okay. Now, when you divide these two, it is 0.029 hour. Kindly change into seconds. So it will be 104.4 seconds, which you are going to substitute over here. Why you have converted into seconds? Because you have asked to find the probability for waiting in the queue more than 10 seconds. So that two items should be in the same unit. Okay. Small letter t and capital H should be of same unit. For that purpose only, you have converted the holding time from hour to seconds. So you will get the answer as 56.29%. So this much probability it has to wait in the queue for more than 10 seconds. Now coming to the third part of the question. Any doubts in the second part? Just you need to remember that formula, substitute it and find, that's all. Okay. Coming to the third part, you are asked to find the probability of delay greater than 0. If the probability of delay greater than 0 means the equation is, yesterday we have gone through those equation, Erlang C systems equation, Erlang C formula. It is given by probability of delay greater than 10 is equal to probability of delay greater than 0 into probability of delay greater than t given delay. Already the second term is already found out from second part of the question, isn't it? The second term, that is conditional probability, is already given. Now this term we are going to multiply with probability of delay greater than 0, which is already given in the question, that is 0.05. That is nothing but a date of service. Please be aware about the fact that this is Erlang C system. So there is no there is no importance for blocking here. There is only importance of delaying. So in the question they have told that 5% probability for any call to be delayed. So probability of delay greater than 0 is 5%, that is 0.05, which can be considered as the grade of service of this particular system. So according to Erlang C formula, directly we are going to multiply these two so that we will get the overall probability of delay greater than 10. So that is 2.81%. Hope you got the difference between the two. In the second part of the question, they have asked you to find the conditional probability. In the third part, they have asked to find the overall probability of the call to be delayed for more than 10 seconds. In the second part, they have asked you to find the probability of a delayed call to wait more than 10 seconds. Already the call is being delayed and then it has to wait for more than 10 seconds in the queue. Okay. Third part, they have asked to find the overall probability of a call to make delay more than 10 seconds. For that, you are going to multiply the two terms. One term is probability of delay greater than 0. Second term is a conditional probability. Those you need to multiply and find the answer. Hope this is clear for you. Any doubts? So with this, we have finished the trunking. Okay, trunking part is very important for your CAE. All these numericals from 3.4 to 3.7, 3.4, 3.5, 3.6 and 3.7. All these four numerical problems are very important for you. I think I have uploaded this yesterday in your classroom. So you need to practice all these four problems thoroughly. Clear? Any doubts? Now I'll go to next topic, that is sectoring. splitting and sectoring. Okay. So to improve the capacity, so what do you mean by improving capacity? Improving capacity in the sense we are trying to accommodate more number of users with the available spectrum or with the available channels. So for this, we can try different system design methodologies. So the main methods that we have for increasing the capacities are cell splitting, cell sectoring, and micro cell zoning. Okay, please take down. These are the three methods which we can adopt for improving the capacity of the system. So what are those three techniques? One is cell splitting, second one is cell sectoring, and third one is micro cell zoning. So this is the last topic of this module. All these three we need to discuss separately. The first technique is cell splitting, second one is sectoring, and third one is micro cell zoning. So one by one we will look into. The first one, cell splitting. As the name indicates, we are going to split one large hexagonal cell into small cells. Okay. When you divide into small cells, what happens? It will increase the number of channels available to one cluster. If more channels are available means there is more scope of replication. Isn't it? The same channels can be replicated a number of times. So we can increase the capacity. The only thing is that the coverage area will decrease because if we are dividing the very large hexagonal cells into small cells, isn't it? So the new coming cells or the new designed cells within a larger cell will be of small radius. So the coverage area will decrease. Okay, and we are trying to increase the capacity. So the remaining two we'll look into it afterwards. So I'll try to finish cell splitting. So the concept behind cell splitting is that we are trying to divide a large cell into small cells. So this will increase the number of base stations because you know that in every cell you are having a separate base stations, isn't it? Either it will be at the edge of the cell or it will be at the center of the cell. So when you increase the cells, what will happen is here you need to increase the number of base stations which is deployed in the entire geographical area. So that will increase the growth of the entire cellular system, means more number of users can be accommodated under one cluster. Clear? Thereby we are going to increase the capacity. Now, as I told you, it is a process of subdividing a congested cell into smaller cells. A cell may be a congested cell or it will be a very large cell. So it can't accommodate all the users simultaneously under a very large cell having only one base station. So if we have a provision to subdivide this large cell into small cells and imparting different base stations to individual cells, then we will have a separate cells which are going to give service to a finite number of subscribers. Okay. So in that case, we will be able to replace a very large high power base station with a small base station having a less height. So we are going to reduce the antenna height and also we are going to reduce the power of the transmission. Can anybody tell why or how we are able to reduce the power of the transmission? How we are able to reduce the power of the transmitted output, I mean antenna's transmission power. How it is able to reduce the transmission power while doing the cell splitting? Can anybody tell? Just you think logically and speak. Because, tell me, we have divided the entire large cell into small cells. So from that particular statement, it is understood that the coverage area is very less. Coverage area of one particular cell is very less. So corresponding to that cell, we have installed one base station. So in that base station, you are having an antenna, but that antenna need to cover only a very less space. So normally the transmission power that we require is very less. Is that clear? Any doubts? Rishita, Samyukta, Shreyanka, Soumya, Shiva, any doubts? So while doing cell splitting, what are the main effects? Each cell will have their own base station. We are able to reduce the antenna height. At the same time, the transmission power is also reduced. Clear? Now,
Yes, sir.
okay. So splitting the cell reduces the cell size and thus more number of cells have to be used. That is, it will increase the cluster size. So the transmission power of the cells will be reduced. Now the main idea behind this is you are keeping the D by R ratio constant. How this D by R ratio becomes constant, or how this reuse factor Q will become constant? Because while you try to reduce R, that is, R is the radius of hexagon. When you try to reduce the area of hexagon, then the distance between the co-channel cells will increase because there are more number of cells in one cluster. So distance between the co-channel cells will also try to will try to reduce, isn't it? They are becoming more close to each other. So same fraction, it is decreasing from the numerator and denominator. As a result, what happens is the ratio D by R will become constant. For example, if R is reducing half, then D will be also reduced with half. What is D? What is D? D is nothing but the distance between the co-channel cells. Clear? So if cells are being very small, or the radius of the cell has been decreased, then the co-channel cells will appear to be more closer to each other, and so almost this ratio will be constant. Now, how this is increasing the capacity, or how this particular process of cell splitting is increasing the capacity, that is what is mentioned in the last point. That is, with increasing the number of cells, you know that the cluster size increases. Cluster size increases means more number of channels are available in per cell basis. If more number of channels are available in the entire spectrum, means it is understood that simultaneously more number of subscribers can be handled by the system. That is nothing but your high capacity. So while doing the cell splitting, the designer's objective is to increase the cluster size, thereby increasing the capacity by increasing the number of channels. This is a concept behind cell splitting, and the ultimate effect is the D by R ratio will be constant. The reuse factor will be constant, antenna height can be reduced, power transmission requirement is very less, and we will have our own base station in different cells. Okay, and those power base stations antennas are having very less height and very less transmission power. Now, this is a picture that represents the cell splitting concept. You can see one hexagonal cell which is large in shape. Now, in the 3 cells, I have incorporated an additional small hexagonal cell that comes because of the cell splitting process. So the 3 additional hexagonal cells I will annotate and show you. These are the 3 additional hexagonal cells that came now to this scenario after the cell splitting process. The ultimate effect of this is we have number of extra base stations that get added. That is D, E, F, G, B, C. So how many number of base stations have been added? Yes, 6 number of base stations I have added extra around the base station A. Okay. A is a base station which has only limited coverage. Since the cell's coverage area is very large, the geographical area of that particular hexagonal cell is very large, it is not able to provide service to the mobile users in the fringe corners of the particular cell. So what we have done is, I need to accommodate more users and increase the capacity. So we have created multiple smaller cells around A that will lead to more number of base stations operating simultaneously. So along with A or around A, you are having 6 extra small base stations with a less antenna height and less transmission power operating parallelly, so as to increase the capacity of the channel. At the same time here, the spectrum is not used. No new spectrum is being used. Already the available channels we have splitted more. Okay. So within one cell, we are accommodating more number of channels without using any new spectrum usage. This is the advantage of using cell splitting. So the main aim behind the cell splitting is to increase the capacity of the system. Now, take this particular example into consideration. Here you have a large number of cells with you. Each cells are hexagonal in shape, isn't it? Now, this is a square. Okay, this is a square plot. You can assume that this is a square type of geographical area. And you need to calculate how many number of cells you need or how many number of base stations you require to impart coverage for the entire square plot of 3 kilometer into 3 kilometer size, means 9 kilometer square area. Okay, this is 9 kilometer square area. Assume that the radius of each hexagonal cell is 1 kilometer. Please take it down. You need to tell me the answer. I repeat, you are having a square kilometer, a square plot of 9 kilometer square area. 9 kilometer square area means, you know, the length and breadth or the side of the square will be 3 kilometer into 3 kilometer. Okay. Now, in our geographical area, you are having large hexagons, each of 1 kilometer radius. Now, you only consider those bigger hexagons, forget about the intermediate or the small hexagonal cells. As of now, you don't consider. Only focus the big hexagons. Each of these large hexagons are having 1 kilometer radius. If all the sites are 1 kilometer radius, or if all the hexagons are having 1 kilometer size radius, then what will be the side length of the hexagon? If radius is 1 hexagon, 1 kilometer means what is the side length of the hexagon?
So the side length will be same as the radius, sir.
Yes, side length of the hexagon will be same as that of the radius of the hexagon, because when you join the center to the corners of the hexagon, that will be an equilateral triangle of angle 60 degree, isn't it? Equilateral triangle it is, means all the three sides are same. So the radius of the hexagon will be same as that of the side of the hexagon. So please keep it in mind. Now coming to the question that I'm asking to you. I'm having a base station at A. Clear? I am having a base station which is located at A. Sorry for the interruption in between net. Is it audible, Shiva? Students, is it audible now? Am I audible now? One of you can respond. Am I audible now?